We are here to inspire you about building your own business and helping you stay on track of your goals. It's a daily cup of motivation. A supportive group of women who wants to see you succeed in your business. And we'll support you every step of the way. Right in the morning. Just put your mind to it. Coffee with Nikkie. Wake up everybody in the morning. Wake up everybody. It's coffee with Nikkie, and we have to get our drink on. So educate your mind, right? Educate your mind, right? Educate your mind, right? Hey, we riding, yo. Wake up in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm yawning, brainstorming when my mind is forming. Time to tune to this morning show early in the morning. Listen to Coffee with Nikkie. Oh yes, she's busy. If you need help, tune on the channel right with me. Strong, independent women, make it sound easy. Wake up everybody in the morning. Wake up everybody. It's coffee with Nikkie, and we have to get our drink on. So educate your mind, right? Educate your mind, right? Educate your mind, right? Hey, we riding, yo.
Good morning, everybody. When I do like this, part of my arms disappear. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing this amazing morning? It's a mixture. We got some overcast and we got some sunshine. Yesterday we had thunderstorms, so we had a lot of rain, which is great because I planted some new things in my garden. Part of my goals yesterday was to get my plants in the ground before the rain, and so I was able to do that, which is great because I had 2 okra plants that I wanted to put in there that they are a little more ahead of the ones that I have. And so I put those in the ground, and I also put watermelon in there because when I went to Lowe's yesterday, was it Lowe's? I think it was Lowe's the day before, their watermelon were like, the vine was extremely long. I was like, hey, I'm gonna put this in the ground. So, because it's gonna go to waste, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it in my dirt and see what happens. So there were like about 4 or 5 in there. And so I put those in the dirt too. And then I also bought a tomato. And like I already have those things growing in my garden, but these were a little bit more ahead of mine. So then I will be able to bear the fruit from it. Harvested really soon. So I'm excited about those things. So today, sorry guys. Hello, and welcome to Coffee with Nikkie. My name is Nikkie. This is your daily cup of information and inspiration. Welcome to Coffee with Nikkie. So yes, I'm excited about my garden. Y'all already know this week has been all about being in the garden. I like to do the garden series when it's time for me to be in the garden because I always relate everything to life and business and growth and stuff like that. So yesterday we were talking about companion planning and combative planning, and a day before we were talking about what were we talking about the day before? Pruning. We were talking about pruning. And so today I want to focus on fertilizing, right? And there is a thing of, not fertilizing enough. And there's a thing of over fertilizing, not giving it the right kind of nutrients and overloading it. There's all kinds of stuff. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we talk about that, I want to tell you guys, I ordered another one of Teresa's journals. Y'all know her as the best small reader on what? Right? So I ordered another one. So this is my third one. So I ordered another one because I am going to start journaling and doing something different. I start journaling and then I stop. So I got the book. I'm going to put it right by my bed so I can write my dreams because I've been having crazy dreams. Have you guys been having crazy dreams? Let me know in the chat. I've been having crazy dreams. So I'm going to put my dreams in here and also my prayers and just things that I've noticed happening. So I could see, document what's going on in my prayer life, what's going on when, in my affirmations, what's going on with my goals. And I want to make sure that I'm documented. So I got it. So if you guys don't have yours yet, you can go right to Amazon, put Latrice V. Johnson in the search, and her journal will pop right up. It's $15. You get it real fast from Amazon. So make sure you go on ahead and grab you one of those. So let me check and see who's in the building. Good morning, Miss Lois. Miss Lois is first. Good morning, Miss Lois. How are you doing this amazing morning? Good morning, Melody. Melody said, good morning, Lois. And ladies, good morning. Good morning, Michelle. Michelle said, good morning, Miss Lois, Melody, and everyone. Kim's in the building. Good morning, Kim. She said, good morning, lovely. Yesterday I focused on companion planting and combative planting because Kim had sent me a message. And so I was like, you know what? let me dig into that. And so I did. So yesterday was all about that. So thank you for that, Kim. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Okay, so we got Miss Cousin is at the bottom, but she was first because she called me already. So we were already on text early in the morning. So we were already chatting, but she's in the middle and she's here. You guys know her as Trees of Heartbeat Candicle, or you know her because I call her cousin. But here in YouTube land, we call her the best moderator on what? Earth. The best moderator on Earth's in the building. Good morning, cousin. She said, good morning, my hearts. Good morning, Kara. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, I have been as well. Okay, you've been having crazy dreams too? Got you. Good morning, Camilla. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing this amazing morning? Okay, so I've been having these like weird dreams, and it's a reoccurring place. I don't know why I keep having this place. Like we're running into like buildings, and everything is happening in like buildings, and I don't know what that's all about. But I said I'm gonna start doing, as soon as I wake up, I'm gonna write my dreams, because about 30 minutes, an hour later, you forget your dreams. Sometimes you don't, but most of the times you do. And you remember the vivid details, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write this down, or I'm gonna remember, and you don't, right? And then you're like, well, what was the purpose? Why was I focusing on this particular part? Like sometimes you wake up and you like your body is really focused on something, right? And you're like, well, why do my heart feel like it's drawn to blah 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 blah? And then later on you don't remember. So definitely going to be writing my stuff down in my book. Okay, definitely going to be writing my stuff down in the book. My bestie has the same name, Latrice Johnson. Oh wow. Okay. Good morning, Miss Betty Rose. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, Nikki. Yes, girl, we missed you around these parts. We missed you. All right, so we are going to be talking about fertilizing. I wrote my notes down. You already know that whole chat GPT analyzing your notes for you is amazing. Because, oh, let me tell you, I'm like, oh, I want to focus on this. I want to focus on that. And it's just the way I speak is the way my mind is operating, like 10x that, right? So if I'm speaking fast, imagine what my brain is sounding like. My brain is like on 1,000, right? So, I really wanted to talk about the fertilizer because I want to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I think we did last year. We were doing composting and stuff like that. All of these things are life lessons, and so the fertilizer is another thing, right? Because you can't fertilize immediately, right? It's a good thing, but too much of that good thing can be harmful, right? The wrong type of thing can be harmful, right? You can have a little bit of sugar and a little bit of poison, and if that poison is deadly, no matter if you put a little bit in there by accident, it's still going to be deadly. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be mindful about what you are putting in your garden, what you are fertilizing your garden with, and when you are fertilizing your garden, because there is such a thing when you put too much fertilizer in, your whole plant will get destroyed from the roots up, right? Your whole plant can be destroyed. You could put the wrong kind and it'll still fry your plants. And you don't want that kind of, you don't want that kind of situation. And we do that with ourselves. We overload ourselves with like information. We overload ourselves with too many different things. We have too many different influences in our lives, and we're overwhelmed with all of those different influences that are coming at us. And we start to get analysis paralysis, and we don't know what we're going to do. And then we get stuck, we get stagnant. We don't know how we're going to move. And when that happens, either the project doesn't happen, you don't move forward, you don't take the next step in growth. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too much. And so we have to start putting our blinders on. We have to start seeing what we're going to allow in our garden. What kind of fertilizer are we going to use in our garden? So y'all ready? Put ones in the chat. Put ones in the chat. Make sure y'all like the video. Make sure that y'all like right now. Make sure you like, please, and thank you. Please hit the like. Please hit the like. Please hit the like, y'all. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Please hit the like. Now, like I said about companion planting, you want to make sure that you are planting yourself with things that are going to be beneficial to you. You want to make sure that you are in spaces where it's going to help you grow and flourish and the things around you grow and flourish, right? You don't want to put yourself in a place where you're going to have to compete for the nutrients. You don't want to put yourself in a place where the plant is going to grow and it's going to shade you, so then you don't get the sunshine, you don't get the light, you don't get the nutrients, you don't get the things that you need, because this plant is taking over and it is overshadowing everything that you do. You don't want to put yourself in those kind of places. And sometimes people will do that. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody is outshining you because they're like, they're covering you or whatever. And that, if you are not a shaded plant, right? If you are not a shaded plant, then you're not going to get what you need in order for you to thrive. And so you need to be in a place where it's going to contribute to your growth. Right. So this is why it is important for us to companion plant. Right. And so a fertilizer, what we do for fertilizer is to enhance the growth. Right. It's to make the plant fertile so that it can produce fruit, or it can produce big leaves or flowers or whatever it is that that plant is supposed to produce. Right. You want to make sure that it's fertile so that it can live its best life. And your plant can grow without fertilizer. You don't need to fertilize it, and you don't need to fertilize it all the time. But if you want to get the maximum benefits out of it, you are going to have to fertilize your soil, right? So the first things first, when you plant a seed, when you're planting a seed, when you're starting a business, you can't apply all of those things, right? You can't apply all of the tactics and everything because you're not there yet, right? And so as a seed, when you're putting it in the dirt, you're not going to fertilize it. Like once you put the seed, you get your dirt together and you put your seed in, you're not going to immediately put fertilizer on it, because fertilizer is going to be too powerful for that seed to grow. And so what we do when we put the seed in the dirt is we just make sure that the dirt is nutrient rich, right? We make sure that the soil is going to enrich the seed so that it can encourage the seed to grow without burning it, without burning it out, without giving it too much. It's going to be able, you want to make sure that that environment is a good environment to start the foundation. This is the foundational elements. And this is what we as business owners, as entrepreneurs, this is what we need as well. We need strong foundations, but everything that you read, everything that you do, everything that see what's happening outside and other people are doing, you might not be ready for that, right? You may be in planting your seed state, you know what I'm saying? And when you're in that state, you just need to make sure that you are enriching yourself. You need to make sure that you are reading the books. You need to make sure that you are providing yourself a strong foundation, right? What are the foundational things that I need to do in my business to get it started? What do I need in order for me to flourish? What do I need for my seed to germinate? And so that is putting yourself in nutrient rich soil. How many of you guys are with me right now? I'm with you in the chat. I'm with you right now in the chat. Put it in the chat, right? You want to make sure that your soil is nutrient rich, right? So you can provide an optimal home for your seed to grow and thrive, right? So after that stage, we want to see the seed germinate. We want to see it pop out, right? The seed has to pop out of the dirt. And even when it does, even when you do see the seed emerge from the dirt, you're still not ready to put fertilizer on the seed. The seed still needs to grow. It still needs to get more of the information. It needs to get more of the nutrients. It needs to, you know what I'm saying? It needs to get some more watering because it needs to grow. Right? It needs to grow, but it's still not ready. It's still not ready to put in the ground, and it's still not ready to have fertilizer. But you're going to continue to nurture it. You're going to continue to provide the optimal environment for it. Is that's grow lights? If that's covering it, like you put your seeds in the stem, the cells, and then you cover it, and it provides that, moisture and everything that it needs in order for the seed to emerge, no matter what. Or some people put heat mats under their seeds, so it could provide the best environment for the seed to grow and thrive, right? And so sometimes this is where we are in our business. We are still, we need the information, we need the guidance, we need the tools, we need to set the foundation, right? We need to make sure that we solidify our foundation before we move on to the next step. So we can't take the seed out of there now and put it into the dirt because it's not ready. So you need to make sure all of the things that you need for your foundation is set up. So everything that you need, if you need permits, if you need information, if you need to get your ID, your EIN number, if you need to get your LLC, if you need to get whatever those things are for your foundational elements, you need to make sure that those things are in place, right? Because it has to, if I take the seed out and put it out in the ground right now, it's not going to survive. Right? So that's the same with your business. If you think about it with your business, if I take that seed right now and put it into the ground without, it being ready, it's not going to survive. It could survive, but it's not in an optimal environment for it to grow, thrive, and survive, right? So you got to make sure that you are solidifying your foundation, right? And so this is what's happening. We are allowing the seed to get strong roots. We are to even just grow the roots, right? Because there's nothing there yet. We are allowing the seed to do what it's got to do in order to emerge from the dirt. And then when it emerges from the dirt, we need to water it, we need to nurture it, and we need to make sure that, when it's big enough, we can take it and put it into the ground, right? So once we put it into the ground, now it's big enough, we're going to put it into the ground. Wait, but before we do that, we got to harden it off, right? We got to make sure that we are getting it used to the elements, right? A lot of us are trying to throw all these things on the plate, on the table with us, and we're not used to it. So you're trying to do all of the social media platforms, but you haven't mastered one. You're trying to operate at a larger capacity, but you can't get your orders out in time. You're trying to work your website, work your emails, work all these other things, but you haven't mastered one yet. You still don't know how to load up a photo on your website, but you're saying that you're going to launch this website within this certain time frame, but you still have not yet learned how to work your website. And so you are not prepared to be out in the ground, right? And so we have to go through a season of hardening off. We have to go through a seasoning. We have to go through a season of not a season, but what is it? It's not a season. It's a stage. We have to go through a stage of hardening off, right? So we got to get used to it before we jump into the deep end and put our plant in this forever home, right? And so we have to do that with our business. We have to see, okay, this is what I need. Let me learn how to work this. Okay, I need to learn how to send out these emails. What's my process? What platform am I going to use? Am I good with this platform? Am I comfortable using this platform? Where am I going to put my website? What does my descriptions look like? Do my descriptions need some work? Does it sound like just something generic? Like, what do I need to do in order for this to be amazing? Good morning, sis. Good morning, Chantel. What do I need to make this amazing? So we are going to go through a process of hardening off, right? Until we can get into the ground. So once we are comfortable enough and we are, getting used to the elements, and we can go into the new environment and start thriving, then we can start applying all of the other things. Then we can start to fertilize. But it is not until then when we're able to do that, right? We have to go through those stages in order to get there. And so as entrepreneurs, we go through different stages, right? We go through the beginning stages where it's an idea. Then we go through where we go to the next stage when it's no longer an idea. Now we're practicing and we're putting it in, we're executing. And then we're trying to sell, and then we want to grow, and then we want to sell or scale or whatever it is that we want to do. And so there are different processes, and in every process is going to take different kinds of attention and different types of care. And so once we get into the ground, we are able to say, okay, so we've established a firm, a strong foundation, right? And so now, and we hardened it off. So we've learned the things that we needed to learn in order to help us to grow and thrive and to bear fruit. We know what we need, but now it's time for us to start putting the stuff into it that's going to help us grow, right? We're not going to just leave it right there. Now we got to start putting the stuff in to help us grow. And sometimes we could use the wrong kinds of fertilizer, right? Or we could be putting the fertilizer that we need in the mature stage, in the early stage, and we can mess up the plant and we won't bear fruit and it won't grow, or it will struggle to grow because we were not prepared for that. And so I noticed that when we have conversations and people are not in certain stages of their business, right? Because we're speaking to everybody at different stages of their business. And so when you're talking to them, you may be speaking about something that they haven't done yet, right? Or they're not there yet. And so everybody is having this conversation. And so they're skipping steps to get to that place, but they're not ready for that place yet, right? It doesn't mean that they don't need that information. It just means that they're not ready for that information. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So like if you put the fertilizer in and it's for the mature stage of the plant where it's going to, flower and fruit, if you're putting that fertilizer in and you're still at the beginning stages where you still need to nurture, then that is not going to help you. That information is not going to serve you, right? You have to make sure that you are getting the proper nutrition, the proper nutrients for your growth. Let me know if y'all with me. Let me know if you're with me in the chat. Let me know, because once you start, I noticed too, like if somebody is not somewhere, but you hear everybody talking about it, and you try to attempt to do those things, it doesn't work for you. And so you get burnt out. You don't feel you feel overwhelmed. You feel like something is wrong with you because why don't you understand it? Why you don't get it? Why you're not there yet, right? But that's because you're overlooking the other steps that have to happen. Let me know if y'all with me in the chat. Let me know if you're with me in the chat. And does anybody in here suffer from analysis paralysis? Does anybody in here suffer from that? Right? You're overwhelmed with so many things, so many thoughts, so many ideas that you kind of just like don't do anything, right? Because everything is coming at you. I should know how to do this. I should know how to do this. I should know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. Okay, so now I got to stop doing this so I can learn how to do this, and I got to stop doing this so I can learn how to do this. And then you kind of just like get stuck and you don't do nothing. You don't move. You don't launch. You don't launch that website. You don't sell that thing because now maybe you're not ready to sell that thing because you feel like you're not ready to sell that thing because you just got overwhelmed with everything. Let me know if y'all know what I'm talking about. Let me know. Let me know. Made it to the office. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, cousin. Let me know if you know, right? Because everybody is going to be at different stages. Everybody, you got to learn how to take what you need, right? And that's when you companion planting, that's what happens. You take what you need. The plants take what they need for them to grow. They don't take it all in. They take what they need, right? And that's what we have to do as entrepreneurs. We have to take what we need in order for us to grow and thrive, because we can't consume everything. We can't do everything. Everybody is not going to be great on TikTok. Everybody is not going to be great on Facebook. Everybody is not going to be great in all of the platforms. You might thrive in one. And so focus on where you're going to thrive. So if I'm giving TikTok information and people are still people on Snapchat still, if I'm giving that kind of information, right, I'm giving all of the information, but you know that that's not your platform, you consuming all of that information is not going to serve you. You consuming all of that information is just giving you way too much information, right? Because you're not ready for it. And so you have to take what you need in order for you to grow, right? You have to take what you need in order for you to grow. I think you have a secret camera in my house, Nikki. Hey. I did 2 vendor events and found myself obsessing over stage props. I don't even have an e-commerce site. See? It makes us look at different things that we're not ready for, right? We're not in that place. We're not in that place. So if we're not there, why would we be obsessing over that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much. It's too much. And we have to learn to take what we need, right? We have to learn to take what we need. Let me see what else I have in my notes. All right. I have too much notes. I wrote too much because I was writing the situations in my head, and I kind of put them down here, right? So, like I said, when you are planting your when you have you put when you put your seedling in the dirt, right? You're going to have different kinds of fertilizer for those particular seeds. We are going to be going through different stages in business, and when we're going through these different stages in business, we're going to be applying different practices. Some of the stuff that's going to be foundational will always be applicable, but some of the things we're going to have to do differently, right? Again, remember I tell you, when you are operating as a small business, when you start to grow and scale, you can't still operate with that same small mindset and doing those same small things, because you're not going to be working effectively or efficiently, because now what you used to do when you were smaller can't work on a larger scale, because now you need to produce more, and you need to produce it fast. Yes, you need to produce more, and you need to produce it fast, and so you can't operate at the same capacity. And so it's the same thing in the stages in our businesses, right? So early on, you might need a certain type of fertilizer, and that's so you get, make sure that you have the strong roots and the growth system and everything is, producing. And then when it starts to grow, then you have a different fertilizer, right? And you may fertilize at a different time. You may not fertilize as much. You may have went from once a week to once a month, or you know what I'm saying? Something like that. You're going to fertilize less, or you may fertilize more depending on what it is that you need. And once it's mature and you know that you're ready to what the plant is ready to produce the flowers and the fruits for you, you're going to do something different, right? And so that's what's happening with our business, right? We have to make sure that whatever stage we're in, that we're using the right nutrients for that particular stage. Yes? Let me know in the chat if y'all are resident. Take what I need. Yes, take what you need. Don't take everything. Do not take everything. Everything is not meant for you, right? And you have to do this with whatever information that you get, because we get into a habit of taking the information and thinking that we have to take it all and apply it all and know it all and understand it immediately. And sometimes we're not there yet. And so we have to understand what stage we're in so that we can do what we need in order to get to that next stage. And then maybe listen to this thing again. And then you're going to grab some other kind of information that's going to be helpful for you. But you're only going to take what you need. Don't take it all. Again, plants don't take everything from the earth. They just take what they need in order for them to grow and for them to thrive. Right? Sift the info. Yes, definitely. Definitely, definitely, definitely. You have to get what you need from the nutrients. Fertilizer can be a good or a bad thing. You have to make sure that when you're fertilizing your soil, that you are fertilizing your soil with the right kind of information. You want to put yourself in the right kind of rooms. You want to be reading the right kind of books. You want to be consuming the right kind of information. You want to be applying the right kind of practices for your business. You don't want to try to be doing all of the things and none of the things get done. You want to make sure that you are using the correct fertilizer in your business. Yes? Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You want to make sure you're using the right type of fertilizer, right? I know that in certain plants, I can use fish fertilizer. Fish emulsion works good for certain types of plants, but it doesn't work for everything, right? You can use there's this stuff called CalMag, right? And so it's for calcium and magnesium. It's not for everything, but I could use it in my tomatoes, right? It may not be helpful to everything. It helps tomatoes thrive, but it's not going to help everything else thrive. You know what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that you are using the right kind of fertilizer. And when you're using the fertilizer, you also want to make sure that you are giving it enough water. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that you're giving it enough water. When I do my solution for fertilizing my plants and my veggies or whatever, I have to make sure that I don't over fertilize. When I did at one particular point, right? Not all the time, but I've done it before, because you think, oh, if I have more fertilizer, it's going to be better for the plant, right? Wrong, wrong, wrong. That is not the truth, right? And so I was like, all right, well, a gallon of water, and I was using Miracle Grow at the time, right? A gallon of water, a tablespoon of Miracle Grow, right? I put it on my plants, and I'm thinking, okay, so it said you could put two, and then into a gallon of water, and I put one, right? First I did two, and then I burnt my leaves, right? The next time I did one, and my leaves was still starting. They didn't burn like they did the first time, but they still started to kind of like wither away, right? And so I was like, I think I may have done too much. And so kind of the sweet spot was half of that, right? So a teaspoon and a half was better than a tablespoon. And I didn't know that. I'm thinking, new gardener here, I'm thinking the more fertilizer, the better my plant is going to be. That's not the truth. That's not the case. And so you got to be careful about what you're going to use as your, you know what I'm saying? Well, how much you're going to use, because sometimes too much is going to destroy what's happening, right? You don't want to destroy your plant and have to start all over again. You want to make sure you're giving it exactly what it needs. Yes. Let me know if y'all with me. Let me know if y'all with me. And so, what else did I want to share about the fertilizer? I over fertilized. And so then I knew another time I said, my cucumbers and my tomatoes, they weren't doing well. So my friend said, oh, well, you could take some fish fertilizer and you can put it in there, or you could take sardines and you could take the sardines and dig it deep and put the sardines in there, and it's going to break down and it's going to help you have sweeter fruit. And I was like, sardines gonna make my plants have sweeter fruit? That sounds like it's gonna be disgusting, right? And so I put the sardines in the dirt, and I put the juice in there as well. And again, deep in the dirt, because you don't want the critters to come and dig it up to eat it, right? So I did all of that. And then I noticed that my plants started to flourish. I started to get cucumbers. I started to get tomatoes. It wasn't until I did that when I started to really grow in my garden, right? And so I needed to know that I was putting that Miracle Grow in there, and the Miracle Grow wasn't working. And so I had to do something different with the fertilizer, because that clearly was the wrong fertilizer. First of all, I shouldn't have been using Miracle Grow in the first place, but that was just not it, right? And so I had to learn the process of how to make my tomatoes and my cucumbers grow, how to make them thrive, what's going to help them to thrive. And I found out that fish emotion, that the fish, the sardines, that was the thing that was going to help it grow, right? And so now when I am fertilizing, I fertilize with fish emotion, right? I have not yet fertilized. And this is, again, you don't want to procrastinate because you don't want to lose the growing season, right? You want to make sure that you're still going to be able to produce fruit. You don't want to wait too long to fertilize, procrastination, and you get things late, or you don't have if I start to fertilize late, then that means that my plants is not going to reach its maximum capacity, or live its best life, because I'm doing things late when it could be thriving right now. If I don't fertilize now, then I'm going to produce less fruit, and that's not the results I want. I want to be able to produce as much as I can, as fast as I can, right? And so in order for that to happen, I got to put the right stuff in there. And I got to make sure that I'm putting it in a timely manner. And we have to do the same thing. A lot of the times we know what to do. We know we have everything that we need in order to do it, but we decide that we're not going to move on it because we are going to wait for the right time. We don't feel that we have enough of what we need at a particular time. And so we don't move forward. And we need to start looking outside of that and start saying, I have everything that I have everything that I need to move on. I have everything that I need to grow. And I am going to start applying it. I'm not going to be afraid. And I'm going to be out there. I'm going to get out there and do what I need to do. A lot of us are holding on to this perfection. A lot of us are holding on and waiting for this season to this. I don't know what season y'all waiting for it to be just right. You want the stars to align. You want the planets to move in a certain order. You want this to happen. Everything's got to move in a certain direction for you to move. And it's never your situation is never going to be the right situation. You got to make it the right situation, right? Your plan's just not going to do what it's going to do on its own. You got to provide what it needs in order for it to do what it needs to do, right? Your plant is not going to, your plant can grow. Again, it can do these things alone, but it can be even better if you are going to fertilize, if you are going to nurture it, if you're going to water it, if you put it in the right environments. Your plant is going to grow and is going to live its best life, but you got to make sure that you are doing everything that you need. I need to give it the right fertilizer. I know that I can no longer give my plants miracle grow. So I know, I can say, well, I'm not ready for this. I can't give myself this. This is too much right now. So I'm going to pull back and I'm going to do this. This natural fertilizer right here is going to help me produce the plants that I need to produce. Right? It's going to help me to, it's going to help my cucumbers. It's going to help my tomatoes bear fruit, right? And flower quickly, right? Let me see. Why you calling me out, Nikki? Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. So there's some things that you got to do, right? And there's also some techniques that you can be doing as well, right? So when I notice that I have flowers on my tomatoes, again, this is from me learning. This is the learning curve. This is education from a gardener. So this is where you get your education from your mentors. This is from where you get your education from your books, your classes, your whatever, right? So my gardening mentor, she said, if you want your tomatoes to fruit faster, shake the flowers. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, just walk by, just shake the flowers every day when you go through the garden, just shake it a little bit. And I'm like, I didn't understand when she told me, right? I didn't understand when she told me, but she was like, shake the tomatoes is going to help. And every single year it does help for me to walk by and shake them, because then you notice that the little buds start to grow and the tomatoes start to form, right? Information that I didn't have, that I needed, that I didn't know that I needed, that helped me to grow my tomatoes. And again, this is us. We have to make sure that we are providing ourselves with putting ourselves in places and spaces where we are going to be able to grow and to thrive, and to get the information that is going to fertilize our seedlings, to fertilize our plant, so that we can flower and fruit and produce and harvest. Right? The point of your business is to grow. Your point of your business is to be successful. And how can you be successful if you are, just relying on yourself all the time? Sometimes you need other things that's going to help you grow. You need to be in other environments that are going to help you grow. You need to make sure that you establish a strong foundation before you start putting that fertilizer in and getting overwhelmed and burned out. You don't want to do that, right? How many of you guys experience burnout? Put burnout in the chat. How many of you guys experience burnout as an entrepreneur? Put that in the chat. So glad I'm learning to move in the right time and environment. Come on. Come on. I had to call you out, girl. If you've experienced burnout, put burnout in the chat. Put burnout in the chat. And it is so real. And it's not going to just happen once in your entrepreneurial life or once in your personal life. It is going to happen quite a few times. Because it depends on how much you putting on your plate. It depends on how much you are, how much fertilizer you putting in. It depends on how much fertilizer you're not putting in, right? How much are you neglecting your business? How much are you neglecting yourself? How much are you overloading your business? Or overloading your mind? Like, it depends, but we're going to experience burnout often, right? We're going to experience burnout often, and it's things that we are going to have to do in order for us to get ourselves in the right place. So one of the things is getting you the information that you need at the right time, doing what you need to do at the right time, and stop allowing everything to pile up on your plate. Right? That is going to make all of the difference. When you start to procrastinate and you allow things to just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, your list get longer and longer and longer and longer. You would just want to throw the whole list away. You don't even want to do it, right? You don't even want to do it. And so we have to start looking at the bigger picture here, right? Everything is a lesson. Everything is about growth. And you are not going to grow if you keep on hiding things. You can't grow if you keep on hiding things. My plants can't grow if I keep on allowing the hidden bugs to destroy my plants. I can't thrive. My plants can't thrive. I won't be able to bear fruit. My plant won't bear fruit because there's something that is destroying it on the underside that I keep on overlooking. There's something, there may be something that's eating my roots, like the grubs. They come in and they like to eat your roots, and the top of it looks beautiful, the top of it looks fine, but deep down at the bottom, at the foundation, the roots, there's something that is destroying it, and you have to make sure that whatever it is that you need for your foundation, that it is not. So you can't overlook it. I cannot say, oh, I know there's grubs down there that may be destroying my roots. I'm gonna overlook it because this still looks beautiful. This still looks pretty. This is what we're doing in our business, right? We want to give that illusion, but deep down inside, there's a whole lot of things missing. There's a whole lot of things wrong. There's a whole lot of things that are eating our roots down there. We can't keep overlooking it. We need to do the work. We need to do the work. And what do I need? The work means researching. How do I get the grubs out of my garden? How do I make them stop eating them? What can I do to, prevent them from doing this? How can I put something in that's going to deter these pests or whatever? You got to start doing whatever it is that you need to do, but the work has to get done because it ain't going to do it by itself. Just because I ignore it does not mean that the grubs are not going to eat my roots. Right? Just because you ignore something and you know it's foundational doesn't mean that it's not going, you got to do the work. It's going to get destroyed if you don't do it. And it's going to show up. Like I'm going to see later on in the growing season that these grubs destroyed my plant. Later on, when your business starts to grow, you're going to see that there's elements that you were missing that you needed in your foundation, and you didn't do those things, and now you got to go back and you got to fix it. So either you got to go back and fix it, or now you got to start all over again. And then when you start all over again, you're going to have to start all over again saying, okay, so I know that this is happening. What can I do to get the grubs out? Or what can I do to form this strong foundation for my business in order for me to grow? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. I'm telling you from my own perspective. I'm telling you from where I'm, from my own business. I know that there were things that are overlooked. I told you guys, and I shared with you guys in a full moment of transparency. It took me 12 years for me to get my trademark. 12 years to get my trademark. I was extremely blessed that nobody tried to steal my name. I was extremely blessed that nobody was spiteful and tried to do that. I had a friend who, a long time ago days, she would trademark people's names so that they couldn't use it because they were not on top of their game. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? She would go and she would, just because she was being spiteful and they didn't do their business properly. Now they established the business and everything. She went and she purchased their trademark. So in order for them to use that name, they had to go through her. She was making people change their name. She couldn't destroy the business, but now this person had all of the things in this business name, but they couldn't use the name because she owned the trademark. Crazy, right? Crazy. Like, who would do that? Who would want to spend an additional $300 or whatever in order for somebody to, just to take somebody's business so they can't use it? That's a new level of petty. Good morning, Jordan. Good morning, good morning, good morning. That is a new level of petty. Imagine you grow your business, everything that you have has this particular name on it. Everything. You have invested a lot of stuff in this. A lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, this logo that you designed, all of this stuff. And then you find out somebody was petty and they bought your name and you can't use it. And now you have all of this stuff. What do? That's because you overlook a foundational component that is going, something that's going to help you in your growth and protect you. You overlooked it, and now somebody is destroyed. Now a grub came and started eating it, and now it's going to all die. Now all of it's going to die. All that work you did, all the stuff that you did, all is going to die because you can't use it. Now what do you do with it? You got to scrap that plant and start all over again. Right? Or you got to take that plant out of that environment and put it in a new environment with the new techniques, with the new things, with the new protection, right? And so that foundation, no matter what, is always going to show through. Your foundation is always going to have to be strong, right? Your foundation is always going to have to be strong, because you can't overlook these things, because it's still going to eat and destroy your garden. I cannot overlook the holes in my garden, right? Because the holes may not mean anything. They might not be right up under my plant immediately, but it might be messing up my root system. It might be messing up the way my plant is growing. It might loosen it up and make it fall. Like my mullein plant got knocked over, and I think it was because something was under the ground and they loosened the dirt. And so when we had a real bad day where we had the winds and everything, high winds and stuff, and so it knocked over my mullein plant. And every time I picked it up twice. Every time I picked it up, it would just continue to fall over. So whatever burrowed into that hole burrowed deep into that hole. And so I had to make sure that I did what I needed to do to make sure that now my plan is stable. I needed to make sure that, if I see the holes in there, I got to stop them immediately. If you see the holes in your business, you got to cover them things up immediately. Or if you're going to put something in there so that, it'll stop whatever is burrowing them holes and coming through your garden, or those holes that's showing up in your business, you got to make sure that you put what you need in there, cover that hole up, right? Because if you leave it, they're going to continue to come through and frolic in your garden, right? So if you continue to allow the holes in your business, things are going to continue to come in, frolic, and destroy it. So you got to make sure that you are taking all precautions to make sure your business is taken care of. Yes? Y'all with me? Let me know if y'all with me in the chat. Let me know if y'all with me in the chat. So one thing I want to ask you guys, sometimes our garden may be nutrient deficient, just like we are, right? And so you got to make sure that when you get your fertilizer, you got to look at it, analyze what I need for my garden, because it could be deficient in something. A lot of us, because we don't go outside, and especially after COVID, we have not been going outside, and so we're not getting vitamin D. So when you go and get your blood panel, or you go and get get your physicals or whatever, you notice that you are deficient in vitamin D. Does anybody notice that? Is anybody deficient in vitamin D? Let me know in the chat. Put ones in the chat. Are you deficient in vitamin D? Put it in the chat. Let me know in the chat. I know I am. And I shouldn't be now in the summertime. I shouldn't be, because I'm out in the garden all the time. But let me know. We usually are vitamin D deficient because we are not outside in the sun, right? And so that the sunshine is going to give us what we need in order to establish like our health and things like that. They were saying when people were when they had COVID, that they should have gone outside, because the vitamin D helps other stuff, and I forgot what it's called, but it helps provide nutrients that your body needs, that's going to help you regenerate and heal yourself, right? And so that's the same thing with your soil in your garden. It's the same thing with your business. You want to make sure that wherever you are deficient, that you are applying what you are taking the vitamins and minerals and giving yourself the nutrients that you need, so that you can no longer be deficient in that. A lot of us are deficient in posting on social media. A lot of us is deficient on launching their product, right? And why are you deficient on launching your product? Because you got fear. So fear may be a deficiency. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are procrastinating. So procrastination may be a deficiency. And so these things are preventing your garden from growing the best that it can, right? Melissa said, I'm not. Girl, you in the sunshine. You in the sunshine place. Yes, I am. I know here in the mountains, because sometimes it's a lot of the times it's overcasty and we not out there. You know what I mean? We get the worst snow. We get the worst snow, the wind, the rain, all of those elements, and we're not out there. A lot of people, sometimes the people I know in Texas, they don't even go outside. I'm like, it's beautiful out here, but it's too hot. Nobody wants to be out there. But wherever your garden is deficient, you want to make sure that you start to feed it. You want to start to feed it so that it's no longer deficient. So wherever you are struggling in your business, you want to make sure that you're fixing that. You don't want to continue to struggle in the same places that you're struggling. The purpose of us fertilizing, the purpose of us pruning, the purpose of us companion planting, the purpose of us not putting things in places that are going to fight and compete for the nutrients. The purpose of us doing these things is so that we can grow. The purpose of it is to be successful. And in order for those things to happen, we got to do what we need to do. So if we know that we are deficient in areas, what do the doctors tell us? If we're deficient, we got to take vitamins. If our garden is deficient, guess what? Your garden's got to take vitamins. You got to put the nutrients back in it, right? And so the same thing with us in our business. If you know that you are deficient in an area, you know that perhaps you may need coaching, get the coaching. You know that you may need a class, get the class. You know you may need some education. You may need to have to read a book. You may have to watch a podcast, listen to a podcast, or watch a YouTube video or whatever. You may need some other skills. Whatever those things are for you to grow, don't stay deficient in that area, because you're going to be deficient until you deteriorate, and then there's going to be no more. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that when you notice that there's a deficiency, that you start feeding and you start nurturing and you start taking care of those areas so that you can be proficient in those things, right? Let me know if y'all feeling me in the chat. We don't want to stay and operate from deficit, deficiency. We don't want to stay there. Right? We want to be able to grow. We want to be able to thrive. We want to be able to flower. We want to be able to fruit. We want to be able to harvest. This is the purpose. Why go through all of this and not be successful? Why would you go through all of the trouble? Why, you got a blessing from God to be creative. You got a blessing from God to start a business. You got a you know what I'm saying? Why would you go through all of this and then say it's all for nothing because you're not willing to do the work? Why would you do all of this and say this is all for nothing because you don't want to pour into yourself. You don't want to nurture yourself. You don't want to grow. You know what I'm saying? Why would you go through all of this to not take care of yourself, right? And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that we feed ourselves. We have to make sure that we're nurturing ourselves. And again, don't overwhelm yourself with all of the things. Don't overwhelm yourself with putting things off to the last minute, right? Because if you put things off to the last minute, it may be too late, right? There's some ideas that you may have had, and so you see somebody else copied the idea, and you're like, oh dang, I had that idea, but you waited long and you waited wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because you sitting here trying to perfect this thing and trying to make this thing look like this and trying to make it look like the perfect thing. And this person done put this thing out here. It don't look as good as yours could have looked. It's not as great as your idea is, but they put that thing out. They did not hesitate to put it out. They put it out. And so we got to stop thinking like that. We have to be able to say, you know what? I got this idea. Let me put it out. Let me get the feedback so I can use this feedback so I can then perfect it. Because it's not going to be perfect when I initially do it. Your business, I tell you this all the time, right? Your business is going to change drastically from when you started. When I started with doing creative bath bombs and, all that bakery type of stuff. That's not my business now. Right? Because I had to learn who my customers were, what did my customers want, what was selling, what people needed. I had to look at those things, and it wasn't for me. I could have made sure that I focused solely on those bakery things, but it wasn't so much of those things. Those things don't move as fast as my skincare. Those things don't move as much as my skincare. You know what I'm saying? I can still make money off those things, but I can't make as much as I make with my skincare. I'm like 10x on my skincare than I am with bath bombs and things like that. So you got to make your business is going to change, and you got to understand that. And once we understand that, I think we'll be okay with making mistakes. I think we'll be okay with if something don't sell and removing that off our website, or you know what I'm saying, removing that off our lineup, because it'll free up resources for us. That's one thing, right? It'll free up resources. It'll give us more space to make more of what's selling, more of what people really want, and we'll be able to do that instead of losing all this money on stuff that we're buying because potentially somebody may want it, right? And so we are exhausting our resources by doing this, and we have to start paying attention to what our people want. And I think it'll be easier once you just get out there, you get that feedback, and you're like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. Bet, do it, right? It'll be easier for us. But what we do is we get stuck in making things perfect. How many of y'all get stuck with making things perfect? Put perfect in the chat. Put perfect in the chat if that's you, and make sure that you please like the video, like the video, like the video. How many of y'all get stuck in perfection? Because I know, like, listening to you guys when we're doing Coffee with Nikki or when we're going live, people are always saying, I'm trying to make my product perfect. I'm trying to make this perfect. I'm trying to do this. It don't look the way I want it to look yet. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. My labels don't look like what I want it to look like. My labels, when I started, look nothing like what my labels look like now. When I started, I was making my own labels. Sometimes I still make my own labels if it's a collection or something that I'm consistently changing. But if it's something that is the same all the time, like my Brush Me Off soap, my serums, if it is something like that, then I have my labels professionally made. And when I first got them professionally made, I didn't have a protection on them. So when people would show my product, it would show like if they had it in their makeup bags and stuff like that, if it was scratched off or whatever, it showed all of that in my label. I didn't know I needed a different kind of label. The label said waterproof. The label said that it won't get destroyed with oil. So I thought maybe, this was going to be good, but they weren't. And it took a process. It was a series of me going through labels to find out what label is actually the label that I need for my product. I would not know what I need for my product had I not had that experience, right? And you can't, I was listening to somebody yesterday and she was saying, you can't fail at experience, right? You can't fail at that, right? Some people are afraid to try, because they're scared to fail. But you can't fail at the experience because the experience is going to help you to create the next best thing. That failure is going to help you be better, right? Or the thing said it didn't work, but I've experienced it and I've tested, it didn't work, and now I'm gonna try something different. And so I tried a new label, tested that out. I put the product on the market. The market is out. I mean, the people are buying it. I see when they show their reviews or whatever. This label is doing the same thing or something similar. I got to try a different label. And I had to try a different label. But it was a series of me trying in order for me to get the thing that's now going to work for me. And this is what you're going to have to do. If you keep on being afraid to try, you're never going to know what's going to work for you because you're scared to try, because you don't want to look like you failed, and you don't want to be, you always want to seem like you're perfect. And that perfection is an illusion. It's never going to happen. No one is ever going to get to the level of perfection, because once you get to what you thought was perfection, now it's going to change into something different. You're going to keep on growing and learning and doing and wanting different things, right? And so this is the same thing with us. We have to, in order for us to get there, we're going to have to experience. We're going to have to try. We're going to have to experiment. And you're not going to know it when you're sitting there holding on to the product and you're holding on to it for years because you're trying to make it perfect. If you've been holding on to this product for years and you ain't put it out yet, that's a problem. It's a problem, because there's no reason for you to be holding on to something for years to put out a candle, to put out wax melts, to put out soaps, to put out lotions. You shouldn't be waiting years for that. It don't take you years to learn, right? My lotion is not the same as it was when I first started. Light years different. Light years different. But I had to learn. When I first started making soap, I was making melt and pour soap. That's what I was comfortable with. Then I expanded and I started doing hot process soap. It was because of me experimenting. It was because of the experience. It was because of the mentor that I had that I ventured out into making hot process soap. It was because of the mentor that I had, the experience that I had, that I was comfortable to get into making cold process soap. Do I like one over the other? But I wouldn't have known if I didn't try them both, right? I tried making cold process soap and I tried making hot process soap. Hot process soap one, because I like immediate gratification. I like to have I don't want to wait 4 to 6 weeks in order for my soap to harden and be ready to sell. I like my soap. If I make it tonight, I could sell it tomorrow. That's what I like. But I would not have known that if I not had the experience, right? I had to have the experience in order to know. A lot of you guys are holding on to those things. You're not going to have that experience, because how are you going to know if you don't put the thing out there? Put the thing out there. I know we were talking about fertilizing and this is about experience and all that other stuff, but if You are holding on to something. It's time for you to let it go and put it out there just so you can get the feedback so that you can start moving forward. Yes? Yes? You can never fail at trying, period. Period. You got to try. In order for you to know what you like, you got to do it. I couldn't know that I liked one thing over the other unless I tried both, right? Because now I have something to compare it to. You don't have anything to compare it to. You're holding on to something and you're holding on to it so tight because you don't want nobody to tell you something wrong. You don't want somebody to hurt your feelings. You don't want somebody to say they don't like something. How are you going to know if they don't like it if you don't put it out there? You may make it perfect and put it out there and they still don't like it. So now what you going to do? Roll up in the ball and quit? So what you going to do if they don't like it? Right? You got to get yourself in the habit of doing things so that you can have the experience. The experience is going to be what you need to compare other things to. I know I like this because I didn't like this. I know I like this because I like this process better. I know that I like this because I like using these ingredients better. I know that I like this label because this label don't scratch. I know that next time I'm going to have to pay the extra money. I have an extra coating on my label. I had to pay an additional $100 in order for me to get this extra coating on my label. Right? Did I want to spend an additional $100 for this coating on my label? Absolutely not. I did not. But I had to in order for me to get the best label that I can get. Why? Because I didn't want my label showing up when people showed the product and they did reviews or they were, just using it as a demonstration or whatever. I didn't want my label to show up scratched up and white, washed out and all that. I didn't want that to happen for my labels. So I knew that I had to go down, through a series to find the perfect label for my soap. And in order for me to find that perfect label, I found the label. At first I did it, it's still scratched. Then they said, well, they offer this coating. The coating is $100. I said, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and I'm gonna have to try it. And so once I did that, I got those labels. The labels work beautifully. They look amazing. They have a high gloss. They don't scratch and they don't wash off. So anytime somebody shows my label on my soap, I can feel confident knowing that that label is going to be perfectly fine. Why? Because I've been through all of the things and all of the other ways didn't work. And this is the perfect way that worked. Anybody with me? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Say I'm with you in the chat if you with me. Say I'm with you if I'm with you. I feel exposed now. Girl, you better put that thing out. And you got beautiful branding. Like, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Let the stuff go. Let it go. You don't feel like you got the crowd yet. You don't got your following yet. Start building up your following. You saying, I'm waiting for it to be perfect. And this is some of y'all are doing this. I'm waiting for it to be perfect. And I want to make sure that I'm in front of my target audience, but you're not doing anything to get in front of your target audience. You're not even putting any information, no post or anything out so you can even get data so you can know who your perfect audience is. You're not your target audience. You're not even trying. So how are you going to have something to compare that to if you don't even try? You got to be able to have the experience to try it. Right? Again, me in my garden, I had to have the experience of knowing that I can't use 2 tablespoons of Miracle Grow. I can't use 1 tablespoon of Miracle Grow. I may perhaps be able to use 1.5, but Miracle Grow ain't the thing that's going to make my plants grow and thrive. I now need to do fish emotion. Through my processes, through my experiences, I now know what to do. I now know how to fertilize my tomatoes. I now know how to fertilize my cucumbers. I now know that I need to put my green beans next to my my corn or my 3 sisters in the area. I now know what I need to do because I've had the experience. If I didn't have the experience, if I didn't witness it for myself, I would not know. Somebody could tell you all day what you need to do. So I could have read that all day, right? I could have been seeing that. I read in the book, it said put 2 tablespoons of the Miracle Grow in there. And I decided that I'm putting a little bit more because I think I'm going to fertilize it more. It's going to produce more. And it doesn't. And it ruined it. And I had to start all over. But I had to have that experience in order for me to know it because I read it. But it didn't, when I applied it, that thing didn't work for me. Right? And so now I have to what the information that I know that I've applied, now I got to see how I could change that information. So how can I make this thing work for me? I'm going to continue to educate myself to see what other ways I can do this differently. And how am I going to know? I'm going to have to experiment. I'm going to have to trial and error it. I'm going to have to do it on my own and figure this thing out. And not so much do it on my own, but I got to test it. I got to try it, right? And once I test it and try it, I'll know from myself, am I able to do that thing? Right? And so this is how we have to look at our business. We have to make sure that we are not afraid to get out there and get the information, get that feedback. We have to be unafraid to try things, right? You got to experiment. You got to experience things. It's not going to happen if you don't. How are you going to know what you like? How are you going to know what you could compare and contrast with? You're not going to have enough information to do anything with. How would you know who your target audience is if you're not testing out your audience? You're not putting out enough content to know what kind of audience. You're not even putting out enough content to know what type of content they like to consume. If you put something out once a month, how can you even decide? How can you know what your audience like? You're not putting out enough. Right? I got things that's eating my plants. I have to keep on putting more out there because I want to make sure that I'm going to produce fruit, right? So yes, something is destroying it right now, and I'm going to keep on trying. Remember, I told you I tried a whole bunch of different things in order to get these pests off my leaves, right? Trying a bunch of different things, and I'm going to keep on testing it out until I figure it out. Same thing with you. Same thing with you. I'm going to try different fertilizers to see what is going to help my plant grow and thrive, fruit and flower. Yes? So you guys, that's all that we have today. Let me know if today was good for you. Let me know if it resonated with you. I know I go into my garden all the time, but just let me know if that resonates with you. I want you to be unafraid to try. I want you to get out there and to experience. I don't even want to say, because everybody don't like to fail. Right? You don't want to feel the feeling of failure. You don't like to feel. You don't like when somebody give you constructive criticism. And sometimes people don't give constructive criticism. People just give criticism or sugarcoated BS. And you don't like that. I know I don't like it because I be ready to go back on them. But I also got to think, I got to listen, take what they said. It's a gift. I could take it or leave it. I don't necessarily have to do it. I don't necessarily have to apply it. But I can listen and consider what they said. I can listen and try, right? I tried that fertilizer and it burned up my plants. I know that I can't use that anymore based off of my experience. It may work from somebody. It may work for somebody else. It may work for somebody who's doing something different in their garden. It may work for a different type of garden, right? Maybe they don't have a vegetable garden. Maybe they just worried about their grass and their plants, right? And so in order for me to know that, I had to try that. And since I tried it, I know that it don't work for me. But just because it don't work for me don't mean it ain't gonna work for somebody else, right? But I know now through experience how to fertilize my garden. I know when to fertilize my garden. I know how much to put in my garden now, right? But I only know that because I've had the experience. And you have to not, you can't cut yourself off from experience. You got to be able to experience everything. You got to experience the high highs and the low lows, because entrepreneurship is a rocky road, right? We're going to have these highs. We're going to have these lows. We're going to have these windy roads. We're going to have a whole lot of things as an entrepreneur. And we have to learn to navigate and see when we need to make these adjustments and how we need to move forward, and how maybe we need to have different tires. Maybe we need to put chains on our tires. Maybe we need to, put different type of gas in our car, whatever. We need to know how to navigate, but it's going to be through experience that you find these things out. So with that being said, y'all, that is a wrap for today, Coffee with Nikki. If you have gotten this far and not yet subscribed, please go on ahead and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notifications bell so you can be notified when we go live. We go live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Coffee with Nikki, your daily cup of information and inspiration. Follow us on all social media. We are Bubble Babes, BABEZ. University everywhere with Bubble Babes University. You want to join the community, go on ahead to bubblebabesuniversity.com and join the university. Click community. It is free to join. And that is basically it, everybody. So let me see. I'm with you. Another awesome conversation. Thank you. Yes, let's get into these conversations. This resonated with me. Come on, come on. Great chat. So I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed it, please share this video out with your friends, your entrepreneur friends or whatever. Share it out with them. And I will see you guys in your stories because, you know, I flood y'all. And that is it. That is all, y'all. Y'all have an amazing day. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.